buying a home, man. So no, obviously we need a loan, but to get a loan, like what's involved? Like work history, credit to debt, down payment, like what? So like let's start off with like credit. Like what realistically, what banks will work with you? What's your credit score's got to be at minimum?
Well, there's a lot of programs available. Every single county, every single area has different programs available.
You see, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the good thing is that if you do just broaden it, for instance, like a FHA loan, so a federal housing, government backed loans.
Yes.
So you have a lot less restrictions, a little bit easier access. So I'm not gonna get too much into the weeds of the numbers, but
because it varies.
Yeah, they vary.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you have conventional versus FHA, a lot of different programs.
But the most popular one is FHA, right? That's the one I see get here thrown out a lot. Is that the one?
I wouldn't say it's the most popular, but it's the most accessible.
Right? Okay.
So,
more people can obtain that one.
Right.
100%.
Right, because it's less down payment, lower restrictions, lower guidelines, which is amazing. Because nowadays you're looking here in Lodi for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you're looking anywhere above $400,000. And not anybody can just, afford a $400,000 payment, right? So you're gonna be able to get qualified for a FHA loan that allow you less restrictions. So for a credit score, you're looking anywhere from a 580 up.
580 up. So you're 580 and up, you're in the green.
You're in the green. You're in the yellow. Okay. So when you're up, you go 580 to 680, you're kind of in the yellow, but you still have a green light to get something.
Ideally, you want to be 700.
You want to be 680 up.
680 up. That's when
700.
the terms start getting better.
But it's never a bad time to start looking.
I see.
Right, because everybody thinks, oh, I'm not going to look until I have a 750s credit score. Don't do that. Because you don't know how long that'll take, and you don't know what other things you need to do in between. So if you're ever thinking, okay, I want to buy a house, whether it's in a year, 2, 5 years down the road, I would say speak to a professional. Let me guide you to a professional that can actually teach you what you need to do and see where your current situation is and what goal you need to meet. And they'll actually plan it out for you and help you get to that goal.
I love that. So moving on to the next thing is, all right, so these loans programs, 580 minimum. Now, debt, man. Like, people have debt. Most people have debt. And I hear a lot of mixed things up in the air. Some people say it's good to have debt because then the banks know, like you're a good borrower because you make your payments and stuff like that. Other people say like you shouldn't have debt at all because, like, that counts against whatever you do have. So like how do like banks, real estate agents, like how do you guys like look at that debt?
Well, for us as real estate agents, we don't really focus on that side. We actually we have our lender partners guide them in that aspect. But in the understanding of debt, there is always good debt and there is bad debt. Major credit card debt for whatever purchases that you don't really need, that's bad debt. But if you have a property in your name, or you have a property that you owe $250,000 on, that's a good debt because it's actually an appreciating asset. You can actually rent that out, offset some of that cost. But there is definitely good and bad debt, and the lender will actually tell you what is and what isn't good and what you should and shouldn't pay off. Because not always, if you say, okay, I have $10,000 in credit card debt and I have these student loans, XYZ, I'm not going to get a loan until I pay all that off. It's not always the case. Again, your lender will actually tell you, hey, pay this one off or pay this amount off on this credit card, and it'll help you more than paying off the entire credit card.
Is a car a depreciation asset, or is that like good debt or bad debt?
No, that's okay. It's a fun debt, but it's not in terms of qualifying. It's actually one of the worst ones you can have.
Really?
Because they take into consideration what your monthly payment is. So, for instance, let's say that your credit card, you have a $10,000 limit, but you have only a $150 payment monthly. Well, they're only going to take that $150 and consider it as part of the debt to income ratio, but the car is usually more expensive. You're talking about, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Some people Yeah, so I know we've run into a lot of people that they make good money, but they have, $1,000 car payment.
Yeah,
That's a huge chunk out of your income.
That's a check.
So, a lot of people, are held. Everything else is perfect, but they're held back by their car payment because the car payment takes such a huge chunk out of your income monthly that it's hard for the lender to say, "Hey, you have enough to cover the rest."
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So, for anybody out there thinking of buying a house, and you're not yet qualified yet, don't go out and buy a huge car payment. Don't go out and get the nicest car. If you're planning to buy a house, go out and buy yourself a good, reliable commuter car for inexpensive price, as low as you can get. And then once you buy the house, go crazy and go buy that new car. As long as you can afford it.
I love that.
As long as you can make your monthly mortgage payments, that's all that matters.
Damn, that's sauce. I love that. That's value. I love that. We talked credit. We talked debt. Now, my last thing, and this for me too, is down payment. So the FHA I see is 3.5. Should I just have the money to cover the down payment, or is there hidden cost? Should I have an emergency fund on the back end, like in case an shit fund, or what do you like? What do you recommend? Like let's just easy numbers. 3.5%. I know this ain't real, but $100,000 home, maybe in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I don't know, but 3,500. Should I just have 3,500 saved and pray it's all gonna work out, or should I have double that, or I got 1,500 extra on the side, or what do you think?
Well, I would never say have the bare minimum, because you never know. There aren't necessarily hidden fees. Everything should be laid out front, but there are unknown costs, unknown expenses in the process of buying a house. So typically, your down payment, your $3,500 is it's a given, right? That's what is going to come out. Plus, you have closing costs. You have the expenses for your loan, whatever cost it's going to be, whatever costs are going to incur in the process of getting that loan. You have appraisal fees. You have home inspection costs.
And that all comes out of the buyer's pocket?
Right. The appraisal and the home inspections usually come out of the buyer's pocket up front.
Yeah.
The rest of the fees come out through the whole end of the process, which is amazing because it allows someone the ability to look into the house, understand what the house looks like, the bones, are they good, what issues does the house have, and then in that case they like it, they move forward with it. And if they don't, they're only out their home inspection and their appraisal.
And they're not signed up to a big ass commitment,
right?
Or tied up, money's tied up and all that. Oh yeah. Wow!
So the costs incurred are usually set up from the beginning, but things fluctuate sometimes. Things change. Contracts. When we agree to a contract, it's not set in stone that's what it is. There's still wiggle room. There's still negotiating can be done in between that time from point A to point B. There's still some negotiating you can do, and that can actually lower or raise your out-of-pocket expense. So typically, I would say have your down payment plus probably another 3 to 5% of the property.
So an extra 3,000 to 5,000,
right?
Which is a good rule of thumb, because even not even for the house, but just have an emergency fund.
Right.
I feel I saw something in the news. The average American doesn't even have $1,000 saved.
Oh, yeah?
And that's terrible, because then the paycheck to paycheck life is just bad in general. So even without even knowing, you should have an emergency fund regardless. Yeah. But that's a good rule of thumb, 3 to 5%. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
Yeah. So typically you're looking at your down payment plus another 3 to 5%. So that's the rule of thumb. Have some savings. And if you're in the process of buying a house, do not go out and buy a car. Do not go out and buy new furniture on credit. Do not go out and spend more money on your credit cards, please.